Dr. Krishna Reddy is the chairman of the Indian American Friendship Council, an organization that promotes Indo-US ties. In this conversation with Lalit Kejha, Dr. Reddy discusses the evolution of the Indian American community. This is an India Abroad video.
Dr. Reddy, welcome to the India Abroad podcast. You have been involved in the community for several past decades, holding congressional hearings and meetings, receptions in DC. In fact, you are the pioneer here. Uh, Tell us how the community has evolved over the last several decades.
Indian American community is one of the richest community, and it is the highest income earning group in America, and something to be proud of. And as you know, the major CEOs of the largest companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple, Indian CEOs are functioning there, and I'm very proud of Indian Americans. We're very brilliant entrepreneurs and philanthropists, and they have made a great contribution to bring in great name and fame for Indian Americans.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, while Indian Americans have done the community, the country they live in proud in all aspects of life, become the CEOs, as you rightly said, the politics, sports, businesses, we don't see much of the presence there, or no single Indian media, ethnic media being present there. How do you see that?
We were hoping there will be a very large media, Indian American media that cover India broadly on a daily basis on a radio or TV network or podcast. I'm so glad India Abroad is coming up with a podcast. I will encourage all Indian Americans to see that and understand what's happening across the globe and what's happening among the Indian Americans here in particular.
You are in city right now, came from LA to Washington DC, the US capital. Can you tell us about the event that you are attending?
Yeah, I'm attending here as one of the member of Indian American International Chamber of Commerce. The last 3 days, I heard many speakers, Indian American speakers and congressional members, and also Congressman Ed Royce was here in one of the panel. And we discussed about how important the relations between India and the United States, how important the security concerns of each other countries, and how important to build a strong naval and military bases among both the countries to help and secure each other from the threat of many imperialist countries.
How can Indian Americans can play a role in a strengthening relationship between India and the United States?
I would suggest all Indian Americans to participate with the legislative members in their districts, like assembly members, congressional members, and senate members in their state. Unless you talk to them, question them, they wouldn't know who we are. And unless we raise our voice, we will get suppressed. That will be negative. Like in California, caste system has come up, which in the assembly, and all the things started from the Washington area, Washington state. So these things are not called for. Some individual interest people who are setting up against India and Indian Americans. It's more a leftist view that's happening, which I don't agree with. There's enough freedom here. They don't need to bring caste system into the assembly. I totally reject that, and I suggest all people to talk to their assembly members, not to bring up such things that will disappoint other community members.
Why do you think this is a bad idea to bring a resolution on caste-based discrimination in California Assembly?
These things don't exist here. Indian Americans, like any other religions, they're all enjoying the freedom. Pointing at only one caste, India and Dalits, it is just a focused left movement, which I don't agree at all. It is not true. Nobody is against any Dalits or any particular caste. This is a free country. Everybody do what they want and they enjoy their freedom.
One last question I'd like to ask you about yourself. Uh, the second generation Indian Americans would like to hear from you about you, your story of an immigrant, how you came from India.
Of course, it is very important question you asked. Indian Americans have to be proud of their origin, their ancestors. The second generation Indian Americans should know where they came from and their origin. Um, like uh, like Israel, the Jewish community respect Israel, and the Jewish community is one of the most powerful community in the world, and the focus interest of the Jewish community and interest of Israel is only Jewish country in the world that people look upon as a great friend of community. And similarly Indian Americans also should respect their country. It's only Indian nation in the world. They need to respect that, in their origins need to be respected, and also they can believe what they want, but they also should respect the origin of their country.
You mentioned one important point. India is the only Hindu nation in the world. I would like to ask you about how do you see India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi performance in the last 8 years?
It is extraordinary performance. Narendra Modi ji is the world leader. He's not just the India leader, he's a world leader, something to be very proud of. And what he has achieved in the last 10 years is more than 100 years of achievement put together. And he has made India the most powerful country in the globe. And under his leadership, India will be a $10 trillion country by 2030, and that will happen.